Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. Got another Master Duel video for you. Coming at you with some Centur-Ion action, pure Centur-Ion action this time. We are playing the deck without White Forest. So, in the previous build with White Forest, I kind of felt like the best way to play White Forest might have been with Centur-Ion, but is that necessarily the best way to play Centur-Ion? That I was actually a little bit more skeptical on. So, we're going back to a more quote-unquote traditional Centur-Ion build. One of the biggest pros of this archetype, actually it's two things. It's two things that kind of boil down to one thing, which is that it has such few cards that you actually require to play for Engine, but they're all so good at getting the play started, right between Primera and Trudea, and the stand-up Centur-Ion and Emblema Oath, combined with the bonfires, is a total of 14 starters. But this, in spite of having so many starters, again, this engine is very compact, meaning that we get to play a ton of hand traps, which is awesome. We are on a set of Fuelos here. Even though we don't have any inherent synergy with normal summoning it, we can still always, of course, discard it for stand-up Centur-Ion, which we always use as part of our plays. So, in that regard, Fuelos isn't really truly ever dead. We can always just discard it if need be. Let's see. The extra deck here is very standard stuff. As usual, instead of a second Blazar, I'm playing Quasar because, well, I don't own a second Blazar, but I did pull a Quasar, so I'm like, it's close enough. We are also on the Red Supernova Dragon. I actually tried out a previous build that I got from Untapped that had a really high win rate, but I wasn't on Red Supernova, and that actually was an issue in one of my first few games playing that build against Yubel. I found myself in a situation where I couldn't really do anything against even a Spirit of Yubel plus Nightmare Pain, because I couldn't get rid of it without, like, destroying it. Mostly because I didn't have access to a Bestial Monster and I couldn't make Chaos Angel, but still, I think it's important to be able to, you know, go into something other than one of your Omni-Negates with the Crimson Dragon, and Red Supernova is, of course, still a very good option for that. Let's see. I haven't played Bonds in my Centur-Ion builds lately. I probably wouldn't play this in Centur-Ion White Forest, mostly due to space, but as mentioned before, we have nothing but space in a pure Centur-Ion deck, and I think this card is actually quite good. It's a somewhat situational extender. It's an extender that is mostly best on, like, turn 3 as opposed to turn 1, right? But it can definitely help you close out games, and I think that's kind of Centur-Ion's weakness, in my opinion, is that, like, it is very consistent at setting up, you know, its board, but its board doesn't inherently OTK very easily. So, you know, actually getting the win on the follow-up turn, even if you go first, can be a little bit of a hill to climb sometimes with this deck, but the Bonds definitely does help with that. The Bestial Monsters actually really help with that too, not just in terms of letting you synchro into some pretty good 10s, but just being solid bodies in their own right makes them a very valuable addition to the deck in that regard. Yeah, moving forward, I don't really know what or if anything I would really change about a build like this. I guess I did forget Call By and Cross out here. I did notice that while I was playing, but... And yeah, those are, of course, very important cards. I think what I would probably do is... Obviously, we slot those in. We can take this out. See, this is where I kind of do think about taking out the Centur-Ion Bonds. But we don't need to go, like, super hard on the effect veilers and stuff. And then honestly, maybe even Saronir could be dropped. I'd probably do something like this moving forward, if I'm not forgetting Call By and Cross out. But honestly, the build played completely fine without Call By or Cross out. I ranked up to Master. Oh yeah, that's probably going to be in, like, the title and the thumbnail and stuff, is that these games you're about to see were my rank up games following us playing Sprite Live. These replays are going to be the rest of my rank up from Diamond 1 to Master. So let's go ahead and check those games out. But before we do, let's break this list down card by card. We're on... Well, okay, so For for this build, this updated build, we're on 1 Effect Veiler, 3 Maxi, 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 3 Centur-Ion Primera, 3 Centur-Ion Trudea, 3 Molcharmy Fuelos, 1 Bestial Magnum Hut, 1 Bestial Druiswarm, 1 Bestial Baldrake, 2 the Bestial Lubellion, 1 Centur-Ion Gargoyle 2, 1 Nibiru the Primal Being, 2 Foolish Burial, geez, that's Bonfire, 2 Bonfire, 3 Stand-Up Centurion, 1 Branded Brigade, 2 Call by the Grave, 1 Crossout Designator, 3 Emblem Oath, 1 Centurion Bonds, 3 Infinite Permanence, and then 1 Centurion Phalanx. But of course, we also just took out 2 Veiler and Saradair to fit in the Call by and Crossout. Extra deck is 1 Chaos Archfiend, 1 Baron de Fleur, 1 Bestial Dispater, 1 Chaos Angel, 1 Shooting Quasar Dragon, 1 Shooting Blazar Dragon, 1 Red Supernova Dragon, 1 Crimson Dragon, 2 Centurion Legatia, 1 Centurion Auxilia, 1 Superstar Slayer Typhon Sky Crisis, 1 Salmon Grey Almirage, 1 Artemis the Magus Moon Maiden, and finally 1 SP Little Knight. If you're wondering what these League 1 monsters are for, it's literally just to be able to go into Little Knight and get the first banish effect more easily. So, alright, there's our list. Let's check out these games. Let's start off with this first game against Dragon Link, because it was actually pretty funny. I also had a bunch of really back and forth games on my climb up to Master, but we're going second, and... yeah? That is certainly a hand of all time. Double Maxi 3 Fuelos. I thought I actually... Hang on, let me see something real quick. Audience people. Oh, you can't check a deck from the replay. I don't think you can anyway, but... You know, we had 3 Maxi, didn't we? I was trying to remember because in one of my... No, that was a different deck, sorry. In one of my recent decks I built, I only put in 2 Maxi in anticipation of the ban list. So, for this one, we are just opening 2 of the 3. I think we are going to draw the 3rd here in a moment, too, but... Anyway. Opponent's leading with Chaos Space, going for the Bestial Lubellion. At which point they're going to activate 1 for 1, at which point I'm absolutely going to fire off my first Fuelos, waiting for Ash Blossom, or turns out to be Called By, but obviously not going to be much of an issue with this hand. Responding with Fuelos, and then the Maxi. Remember, you can activate 2 Molcharmy cards per turn. So we're still going to get 2 draws, well... We'll get 2 draws for every special summon from the deck or extra deck, and then 1 draw for every other kind of special summon. But we'll get 2 off this 1 for 1 here. Which finds double Imperm? Alright, they're going to Lubellion for Magnum Hut, and then pass over to me. So we're definitely looking to top deck some more gas here, and it's my Maxi. It's just another Maxi. Well, since we still have the Fuelos in hand, I'm just going to pass over, and I'll shotgun this during the draw phase. By this, I mean both the Fuelos and the Maxi. Because, like, I really need the draws. Okay, so this is something that I've talked about before, about how if you really need the draws off Maxi and Fuelos, you shouldn't shotgun them. But this situation is unique, because my opponent can make a Link 1 as their first action of the main phase. And they get to take first action before I do. So if I don't shotgun my stuff here, I'm not going to get draws. And even if I do shotgun then they turn skip, I mean, that's fine here, but we really do need to top deck something, so. But yeah, I didn't want them to go into Striker Dragon and me not getting any draws for it, so. Okay, we finally find an Emblema Oath. I'd like another starter, but I'll take what I got here. Gonna use the Veiler over the Imperms for sure, to stop the Striker Dragon from adding Boot Sector Launcher, getting Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon here. Yep, which they'll banish the Striker to summon. Still getting even more hand traps. I don't even think this is a matter of, like, the build being askew. Remember, we have 14 starters. This is just RNG rearing its ugly head. I mean, we're kind of fine, honestly. Like, we're not in a losing position. I don't think we are at all. Still pretty even, I think. Okay, Bonds is not the kind of extender I was looking for in this situation, but we're going to go for the Emblema of setting up stand-up, activating the stand-up Centur-Ion effect, getting rid of the Bonds, because I want to keep all my hand traps here for sure. Specialing Primera and activating, and it's going to get impermed. I kind of assumed something like that would happen, but it does still kind of suck. I had briefly debated normal summoning Maxi and maybe going to Little Knight before deciding no, that's a horrible idea. I need to keep the Maxi in hand. I'm not going to use Maxi in response to this Magnum Hut. I definitely want to use this during my opponent's turn. But we are in a uniquely good spot here because of two things. One, I already have the Nibiru in hand. Oh, opponent misclicking and turning it into defense mode instead of activating the effect there is pretty brutal. So even if they make Baron de Fleur here, which I thought they were going to, it's Chaos Angel, I can still, you know, activate Nib and then imperm the Baron. Here, I'm going to imperm the Chaos Angel they summoned instead, which is still fine, because now it can be affected by Nibiru. Alright, I'm going to try to wait for this Collapse Serpent that Wyvern Burster will search before I activate Nibiru here, excuse me. We'll definitely Ash Blossom this Chaos Space, though. Now they're on no more extenders. They can only combo with what they have on board. Wyvern are going for a Striker Dragon here. I don't really need to negate this super badly. The Boot Sector launch matters a lot less now. Well, actually, no, it doesn't because of the Graveyard effect, potentially. I guess if I have Nib and they have a token, they can't use the Graveyard effect, right? They can summon back stuff for every monster I control more than they do, I think. But either way, we'll just keep them off it. Yeah, the continuous trap card doesn't matter here. And now that they're out of extenders, we're gonna Nib them. Even if Collapse Serpent did add a Wyvern Burster here, they can't summon that because they've already summoned Wyvern Burster this turn. Alright, now they have nothing, and we have the ability to make plays finally, and the instant we do, they concede. So, well, what are you gonna do? Funny game. So to reiterate, the first 5 cards of my deck were 2 Maxi Fuelos. The next 3 were double Imperm, then Maxi. Then I think it was Emblema, then Nib. But it's so wild that we have 14 starters and we saw so many hand traps there. But again, not even a horrible thing necessarily. But all right, let's go and check out our next game here. All right, let's take a look at this game against Tenpai. I didn't know it was Tenpai during the actual game itself, but I kind of figured it was after a little bit. Well, I think also, okay, yeah, they elected to go second, so that's also how I knew. That would do it. Anyway, we're going to activate Lubellion. They perfectly take the bait and Ash Blossom it. I always start my plays with Lubellion for that reason, but it's kind of rare that somebody actually takes the bait. That was it was very nice, honestly. To not have to worry about this Primera getting negated. Although, to be fair, even if they had saved Ash and Ash Primera here, we could just summon Magnum Hut and go for like a Baron, Maxi, Ash Blossom. Definitely not that bad. Oh, and whatever Bestial Magnum Hut searches. That's definitely not that bad of an inboard. Yeah, I'm doing pretty standard turn 1 stuff. I don't remember if I ever made a Centur-Ion combo guide, now that I think about it. I was going to say check out the combo guide in the description if you want to get an insight on how this deck plays, but I don't actually remember if I made one or not. If that's something you want to see, if I didn't do that, definitely let me know for sure. But as you can see, extremely standard setup here. They're going to Shotgun Fuelos. So, at this point, I'm like, okay. I can summon Trude and Primera. They won't get draw for that. But I don't want to go into Crimson Dragon Blazar. I don't think that's worth giving them 2 draws here. I'm just going to save the Synchro Summoning for the Legatia. Alright, Ash Blossom on the Tenpai Hydra here. And then I Phalanxed it. So I think this was a pretty big misplay on my part. But I'll tell you why I made it. My thought process was like, okay, now that the Hydra's negated, thinking about the extenders they could have, oh, let's Phalanx now in case they have Shundra. What I failed to really recognize in the moment is that Shundra's at 1, so it's very unlikely that's going to be in their hand. I really should have saved Phalanx for just whenever Shundra hit the field. That would have been so much smarter than what I did here, which was shotgun it on the Hydra. Yeah, not a good play on my part, I'll admit it, for sure. I remember thinking that in the moment, too. It's kind of one of those plays that as soon as I made it, I was like, that wasn't that good. But we're going to use the field spell effects now during their battle phase to summon Legacia. Unfortunately for us, they do have Droplet, which is, yeah, probably the one thing that really could have stopped me from stopping them here. And Shundra by itself is going to end up being enough to get plays going. But we do still have Max C live. Now, granted, it's the battle phase, so Niv won't help us. However, we have quite a few Bestial monsters in our deck that could maybe get us there. Let's see. Alright, then we bring back Fadra. We did drop Magnum Hut. Bring back Shundra. You know, I will say that banishing Hydra actually did still matter here, because not having access to that body for them is going to affect their combo line. Also, definitely want to summon my Bestials now, before the level 10 Sangenpai dragon hits the board, right? It sucks. If I had drawn Baldrake a little bit sooner, I could have actually used it to disrupt their plays. But I'm just glad we drew some amount of Bestial. Actually, I think we kind of drew exactly what we needed here. Yeah, so they crash by running into Auxilia. They can bring back the Transcendence Dragon. And then use the effect to pop one of my Bestials. But after battling with everything, I'm going to end up, I think, at 2550 here? Yeah, 2550. So those Bestial bodies were barely enough to live it. End up super mattering here. They're going to go Spheres Pass. This was the game where I realized I wasn't playing Callbite, because I was like, if I could just top deck a Callbite to deal with the Spheres. And then I was like, wait a second. Because I had Untapped open on the side, I scrolled through, I was like, oh, I'm not playing Callbite. Oops. But, I mean, one Spheres is all the disruption they have. We can play through that. That's not that bad. Definitely grabbing Bonds with the Primera here. There's not really much else to grab anyway. Bringing back the Auxilia with the Phalanx F. That lets me add a backup stand-up Centurion. Lets me send the on-board stand-up in order to special summon Gargoyle. I'm then also going to summon Druisworm here. Opponent decided to use the Spheres now, which I was very grateful for. I'm a little confused, though, because I would have thought they would have done it on the Druisworm, but I guess not. I don't know. Either way. I definitely am going to use Maxi now, because I want to try to close out the game on this turn. Even if I don't OTK them, I want to set up a board state where it's like pretty much impossible for my opponent to come back. So I don't think I'll be needing Maxi on my opponent's follow-up turn. Ideally, that's what I'm planning for. Alright, yeah. Here's where we're going to sink into the Baron de Fleur. Here's also where I make another slight misplay. We're going to get rid of the Sangenpai for sure. I should have used the Baron effect on... I should have gotten rid of the Fadra here. Well, I had to get rid of Shundra and Sangenpai, though, for sure. Yeah, with Fadra up, though, I can't destroy everything in battle. So what I should have done is this. I should have gone into Little Knight before the battle phase. Banished Fadra, and then I could have battled over Hydra. Yeah, we'll get another Primera out of the deck just because. There's no real reason for it, but why not? We do actually have another form of disruption here. We can actually make the Chaos Angel during their turn, thanks to the field spell here. I'm going to let them Sangen Kaimed. I thought they were going to go for Genroku, but it's actually Hydra here. But I'll wait for them to special to proc the field spell. They're going to Ash my Primera Search. That's so unbelievably unimportant right now. It does not matter at all. Alright, normal summon Hydra. I get to also Branded Regained. I'll definitely use my in-hand Valor rather than the set Imperm. Might need to Imperm Fadra. Legit might need to Imperm Fadra during my turn just to be able to battle over stuff. Although we did also leave Fadra in attack mode here, so... Okay, here's the part where we can... Because they just specialed, yeah. We can go for the... Or I just specialed, rather. We can go for the Chaos Angel. Oh, I was unable to target the Hydra for some reason? Yeah, I remember that. I was unable to target the Hydra for some reason. Their last card was a Raigeki that they were holding, that they knew I was just going to negate with the Baron. That's kind of funny. Alright, and finally, bringing it back around to our turn, we're going to, yeah, let's move to battle phase and close things out here. I've got far more than enough damage on board. Alright. So there we go, a pretty nice back and forth game with Tenpai, which you don't usually get. You either just like outright destroy them with your turn on board setup, or they outright destroy you. But yeah, the Maxi actually definitely saved us there by getting us those bestial monsters. Pretty solid game, but I've got one more to show you before we finish off here. Alright, our final opponent was on Mathmech Addic Mister. But I gotta love with you, I don't remember playing against Addic Mister at all. At all. So, let's see what happens here. I genuinely don't remember this at all. Alright, so normal summon Primera. They're gonna Ash Blossom. That's fine because we have Emblema Oath. What's wild is that I don't remember a single Ignister monster getting summoned, but this is a 4-turn game. Alright, so yeah, we get to Emblema Oath for the stand-up. Emblema Oath is such a good card. It's a starter and an extender. It's great. Okay, so they're going to max C. It's a little bit of an issue, but it's also not that big of a deal here, because what I can do is I can just special Trudea and then just pass, and then now I still have the ability to summon Legatia off of stand-up Centur-Ion going into their turn. If you get hit with max C, this is usually about what you'll end up ending on, which is not that much worse, honestly, than your regular end board. You just lack the trap card more than anything else, but we can still make disruption with the Legatia here. Ah, so that's why I didn't remember them playing Addic Mister, because they did not manage to find anything off the max C. Because you might be wondering, well, Lex, why didn't you just go into the Auxilia anyway? It's one more draw to get the Phalanx, that's interaction. True, but, one, I don't like giving my opponent draws pretty much ever if I can help it off max C, unless I, like, know I can just OTK them that turn anyway, which obviously you can't OTK on turn 1, at least not with a deck like this, but... also on top of that, yeah, I could have made Auxilia, searched Phalanx, set it, and then Auxilia F, put Primera in the spell trap, but then I wouldn't have Trudea in the spell trap. I wouldn't be able to go into a Synchro 12 on my opponent's turn. So that's why I ended the way I did here. Thankfully, our opponent didn't have plays, so that kind of didn't end up mattering, but... Gonna go for the Trudea effect again. They have an effect Veiler. It seems like they're stuck on all hand traps. It seems like they have the same hand that we did on our first game, huh? Alright, we can Magnum Mud here, banishing that Veiler out of the yard. They're going to use another Veiler on the actual Magnum Hut Search effect, which I'm completely fine with. Because we can still use the stand-up effect here. Oh, but it looks like first we're going to sink for 12. For the Auxilia, okay. Then go Auxilia effect. They're going to Imperm. Yeah, they're on all hand traps, look at that. Same thing we were game 1, except we had some debatably better hand traps. Oh, I think I misplayed here. I think I missed lethal. Could I not have activated stand-up, pitch Veiler, set Gargoyle in the spell trap, Gargoyle F to special? Yeah, I totally could have done that. And that would have been lethal, so I did miss it here. Yeah, that's a misplay on my part. Hopefully it won't matter. I'm going to link off into Almirage and then again into SP Little Knight to have some interaction along with the Veiler in my hand here. Banishing their Veiler, because why not? Just in case they're like Dragon Link or something, somehow. Normal summon Perulia. I forgot it. That's how that game ended. Well, that would probably be why they didn't. That would probably be why they didn't. I think our opponent's deck is loaded down with too many hand traps. Normal summon Perulia. That's something that, okay, I still see people say, like, oh, 9 Maxi and Master Duel. Oh, now it's only 8. But, like, y'all. Why? Please tell me you're not all playing Perulia. Because if you're out there playing Perulia in every single deck at 3 alongside Maxi and Fulos, I imagine a lot of your games are going to end up looking like our opponents did here. This one, but... Anyway, thank you very much for checking out these duels with me. I super appreciate you doing so. Why don't we go ahead and move on now to our outro.